streaming downstairs, that could be a problem.
I've done that before.
Yeah, taking up our bandwidth.
Rachel just said she didn't want to work, so she was going to come over here.
I don't believe that.
Will knows me really well, though.
All right, so I think, are we good to go? Can you hear us? All right, y'all, we got a couple exciting things today. So one, we have some new audio, which is good. And so there's been a little complaints that Hunter didn't sound as angelic as you'd expect.
So he lost his job.
So he lost his job. And I was going to say, Hunter, you look a little different
We need a
today.
professional voice in here.
You look a wee bit different. So, are we good, Jeremy? You can hear us well? I think so. He's dialed into the headphones. So, how you doing, Shane?
I'm good, man.
Thanks for stepping in. So
Yeah.
Hunter goes away, and this could be the end of his reign.
Well, no, I don't want to do that. He offers a lot to the meetings that I do not want that responsibility.
That's good. Well, so I got a quote today. I talked about this yesterday in my little Monday video, and it's pretty almost cliche quote, right? But the only thing in life that is constant is change. And so I don't even know who said that. I think everybody said that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, you have anything you're grateful for?
Well,
you're grateful
yeah.
your dog likes to run free and has a free voice?
I mean, obviously, I think the elephant in the room is that I'm grateful that I'm healthy now. Yeah, and my whole family is healthy, on the mend, and we're back in action.
Nice.
Yeah, for that. So it's an easy one for me.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Give us a quick recap of the best part and the worst part about it.
The best part was getting released from quarantine, because it wasn't so much Autumn and I. It was just having 7-year-old kids that have friends all around our house, and they just don't understand that they can't go outside, especially when they felt 100% healthy. They had absolutely no symptoms. The worst part was the symptoms I experienced, which we can talk about later. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to.
You look good. You said you lost a little weight.
I lost some weight because I lost my smell and taste, so I didn't want to eat. So here we are.
What's the fun of eating? You can't smell or taste. So, all right. Well, that's exciting. Anybody else? Rachel, you have anything you're grateful for today?
Lord, what do I say? I don't know what I'm grateful for today.
You've got a friend with you for the week?
I have 2 furry friends with me for the week.
Rachel's grateful for doing some dog sitting.
Some dog sitting because it brings me lots of cuddles and kisses.
Lots
you
of
go.
cuddles and kisses from the pups. So that's great. So if you all got something you're grateful for, feel free to chime in. So a little bit of news, upcoming education. In July, there is, and I'm going to let Teddy talk about this in a second, but you've got Thrive is tomorrow. There's no class today. One thing that's not on here that I'll go through is there's F&B is putting on a THDA class that I'll talk about in a minute. But here's a little info from Teddy Pins.
Good morning, Village family and friends. Teddy Pins here, Village Education update for the week. We missed you. We just finished Jumpstart. We did a 4-day session that just ended yesterday. Congratulations to our graduates of the Village Jumpstart July session. It was unbelievable. Next session's in September. Look for that if we missed you. It is recorded. It will be up probably within a week or so. Belle in our East office helps put all those up for us, so we give a shout out to her and thanks and love. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, we've got our Thrive call with me and the team, and we'd love to see you on that, and we'll send out Zoom address for that, same every week. Thursday, 2 to 3, we've got podcasting with Millie Mundy and Brian Siskin. They can assist with helping you understand the ins and outs and best practices of podcasting, and that's on deck, and that's it for this week. And then next week, of course, Thrive Call on Wednesday, and that'll wrap up the month. So hope to see you tomorrow morning on the call, and make it a great week. Lastly, I'll give you a Teddy tip, is when you start working with a new agent, I go to Home Snap, and under the agent section, you put in their name, you find them, and you can one-click add to address book, and it brings in their phone numbers and address and brokerage name, and immediately they're in your contact records. So as soon as you start working with a new agent, meaning that you get an offer or you're putting an offer on one of their listings, you'll have all their contact information at your fingertips. Be ready with Teddy. That's Teddy's tips. Village Education Director Teddy Pins here. Thankful. Make it a great day. See you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Well, thank you. That was good. So Shane Talent.
I'm,
Look at that.
I'm doing the same thing.
So there's Shane, right? And so you got that. And no, that is a good tip. I actually do that a lot. And a lot of times, if you have a picture in HomeSnap, it'll sometimes we talk to agents on the phone, but we don't really know what they look like, and it's nice to put a face to the name. So
Yeah.
Another a talent tip to go on to Teddy's tip would be upload your mugshot.
Picture to the
to
that's
HomeSnap.
really interesting because there are some agents that
Add
you,
to address.
you know the names, but if you haven't ever done a deal with them before, you don't.
Oh yeah, and you run into them in a broker open, and it's like,
We just had a closing.
your voice sounds familiar. Right.
Cool.
Oh yeah, we never met, so.
Coronavirus. Couldn't be there. Sorry.
That's right. So F&B is, Roger Gore told me this yesterday, that F&B is hosting a 1-hour CE credit THDA class. You can get 1 hour of CE credit, which is great. Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Today's Tuesday. That would be Wednesday. Tomorrow via Zoom at 12 p.m. So grab yourself lunch and dial into Zoom. The link is going to get sent out, and then it's also going to be on the Village calendar. I think we're going to add that here today. So you got to sign up and register through Zoom, I think, so just to get the CE credit. But nice little bonus for 1 hour CE credit. I think you were just doing some CEs this morning. I saw you
Yeah,
working away.
I got the email from Colin. I was hustling. TikTok. I just
TikTok.
scrambling to download every CE class I could find, but I think I'm back on track.
Did you learn something? Did you learn something yet?
I haven't done it. I haven't read them yet. Yeah, I just downloaded all the books. Yeah.
That's good. Shane will be in the cubicle studying hard the rest of the day. So a little bit about the market. So I guess, so Showing Time has been putting out this data. We've been talking about it. They just stopped doing the statewide data. So now they're just doing the national data. But it is helpful to be able to see. Again, the orange line is 2020. If you look at showings, are up nationally by, 14%. So, right? Yeah, it's pretty good. Looks good. So that's big. So showings, again, leading indicator of sales and contracts. The more showings there are, the more likely there are to be buyers. So have you noticed any uptick in showings?
Man, but I'm glad you had this slide because in the last 72 hours, I try to do my best to keep my bandwidth manageable. Like I've got some 2 or 3 active buyers, or 4 or 1 or none, and then whatever listings I've been fortunate enough to get. And all of a sudden, literally this week, or from the end of last week to when I got back on the grid to today, something's happened. I don't know if it's that national rates, first time ever under 3% for the 30-year fixed. I don't know, but I'm now feel like I'm taking on water in just the last week.
So are there a couple of people in the room? You all seeing anything? I've noticed that too. It's like the last probably 4 days.
Something happened.
Something in the water.
Hey, we're thinking about selling and buying. What about, and like they've already identified a property. I am seeing more and more buyers that are sending me, I'll get like, hey, have you seen this house? And because they're just, a lot of people are spending a lot more time at home and they're trolling on the other sites that, that they can see active listings. And fortunately, they're sending them to me so that I can then get involved. But if
I've got 2 listing appointments today.
2 listings. Will Reynolds has 2 listing appointments today. Fantastic. That's awesome. Yeah, no, a handful of the showings that I've talked to, I always try to call agents before or after or both showing, just to give them a little overview of the house, and then to just follow up and see how it went. And I think at least 2 occasions of the showings over the weekend, they said, yeah, we're on the move. We got to find something. We just got a contract on our house. So sometimes it's just that domino effect. It's got to start.
Yeah, and then we had a condo, a little 1-bedroom condo. Again, it felt like the first time in a long time. We thought it was a little aggressively priced. We got multiple offers, went over asking, so it was like maybe something, I don't know, something's in the air.
Very good.
So
cool.
Call your people.
Call your people.
Call your people.
So rates, you want to talk about this? What are they?
Yeah, I mean, now that you asked me to. So, 30-year fix, I saw, I don't know who it was, a lender that's on my, my email chains or whatever. They always do updates, and they said, first time in the history of 48 years of tracking the national rates, first time ever that a 30-year fixed average was 2.98. First time ever, the average rate that's going out and being approved was 2.98.
Wow, that's insane.
And that's taking into account bad credit scores, excellent credit scores, the actual average. So I guess obviously this is the most aggressive, like if you have a perfect credit score and you're the greatest buyer out there, you can get 275, but there are some people that are, the best they can do is 325 or 3, so that's amazing that the overall average is first time ever under 3.
Yeah.
15-year fix, 2375, same as last week, and then the ARM dropped, but I don't know what that is. Is that all ARMs?
So that's that's probably a 5-year ARM, I would guess. Probably a 5-year.
Yeah.
So that's insane. And what we always talk about that rule of thumb. You remember what that is?
10%?
The 1% equals 10% rule
Yeah.
of thumb. Yeah. So don't forget about that. Every 1% change in mortgage rates, you gain or lose about 10% of borrowing power. So this time last year, rates were easily at 3.75%, I think. So that's the market has only gone up about I don't know, maybe 5% since last year.
So that's a free 5% for your buyers.
So then, you basically, it's like the market. It's like the market went down 5% if you take into consideration if they're getting a mortgage, which it really didn't. I'm just talking about from an affordability standpoint.
Right.
So they get the appreciation and they get the bonus of being able to pay less.
All your
That's
people.
what they call a win-win. I like it. So some interesting numbers. Davidson County. So this is looking at the last year or last like 14 months. So the light green bars are the number of total properties available for sale. So these are the total number of choices. So if you look at, no, this is from June because we haven't made it through July yet, but if you look at all of June of 2020, there were 3,200 properties available, 3,291. In June of 2019, there were actually 3,520. So what's that? 230 fewer houses to choose from. And yet showings are up, which means, I don't know, that's an interesting way to look at it. If there's fewer houses to choose from and then showings are over where they were last year, does that just mean that buyers are feeling that urgency, that there's less? Because you would almost think if there's more to choose from, that would bring more buyers out, but maybe they're seeing less out there.
I think the rates are such, and here locally, maybe we didn't feel the effects of the pandemic, the economy yet as much as we thought we were fearful of. And so now people are like, okay, hey, the weather's as good as it's going to be all year. Let's get out, let's look. There's less to see. So these listings are getting showings that if you have 300 more, there's probably some listings that aren't getting the eyeballs.
Yeah.
So more buyers, less houses. That kind of relates to I got multiple offers on a condo day one. So there's a little rat race.
And we talk about too, the spring market was delayed this year, right? And I think you can see that here. If you look at the left side where 2019 was, May is where the total number of listings peaked out. Same thing with the new listings, which is that little blue line at 2,051. That's how many new listings came in the market in May of last year. And then it started going down for the summer and into the fall. Right now, we're still on the upswing, right? So June was higher than May. My sense is July is going to be higher than June. So closings are up, pendings are up, new listings are up, total inventory is up. So I think it's all starting to make sense. Maybe what are we, July 21st now, and we're seeing an uptick of showings. Maybe it's kind of like April or May of last year. So Franklin, Williamson County, similar. Total listings are down a little bit from last month. But still way down from last year, right? So 1,657 total inventory, total listings in June of 2020, and there were almost 2,000 homes to choose from last year, same time. So pendings are up, inventory's down, right? So it's just means that if you've got a listing, now's probably a good time to put it in the market because showings are up, inventory's down. And you're seeing that in a little bit of the data, right? So in Davidson County, June of 2019, there were 1,900 new listings that went on the market. This year there were 2,014, an extra 100 new listings. So not a ton, but a little bit more new stuff coming on. And same thing, just a hair up in Williamson County. So take advantage of that. You can access this from Trend Graphics right here. How to access Trend Graphics, you can find a link on the vres-market.com. Or I've just made a little shortcut if you just want to not have to log into anything. And if you just go to zachfigure.net, then that'll get you there. So that is how you do that. y'all seen this before. You ever filled this out, Shane? Shane, you just do this by heart, probably. But notes, affirmations, attending a sales meeting, good work. You get 5 points today.
Yeah.
Attending a training session, you could do that this week. Sounds like you're doing a lot of
doing a lot of
training this week,
education.
so maybe you get 10 points. Updating your warm list and your hot list. And it sounds like you've got a pretty active warm list with your buyers and keeping them engaged.
Yeah.
And seeing them. And make contact with 50 people, non-realtors, so that's been a little hard. How did you do that during the COVID time? Or were you just feeling really bad?
You know, I was fortunate enough, our lives got flipped upside down. We went to Florida for what was going to be our spring break. You know?
Is that where you got it?
No. We went to Florida in the middle of March 13th, I think, and then ended up staying there until May 27th. It was just different down there. There wasn't, the pandemic wasn't, I mean, it was happening. It wasn't like it was here, you know, of course, following in Nashville. But my business was churning while I was there, so I really didn't have time. I was trying to keep my head above water, feeling disconnected because I was down there, and luckily we have some great agents here that were willing to help out and work together to kind of, because I just felt stuck down there. So I was just trying to keep my pipeline intact and really didn't have time to focus on creating a new pipeline for now, which was my fear being down there. I think now we'll start to see if it really did affect the, you know, the year to date or the calendar. Like what happened in March, April,
business,
May, to our business, what's going to look like September, October, November. I think that's my biggest fear.
Got it. So that's an interesting point. So you said you were trying to keep your pipeline active, your current, kind of your immediate pipeline.
The real
engaged.
the real time pipeline,
your warm
because
list and
I
hot
wasn't
list.
there, and clients they don't want to go see houses. They want to, you have closings, you have inspections, you have blue tapes, and I simply couldn't be there. So I had to manage some expectations real time, and I didn't have time to focus on what could be affected in the fall.
So how did you do that? What was kind of a takeaway if somebody's feeling like they're disconnected, even if they're not out of state, but if they're just feeling disconnected because they can't do stuff in their normal way, what did you find worked and what didn't work? Or where did you, I'm surely somebody got upset with you at some point or frustrated, or you sensed frustration, and how did you work through that?
So one thing I did when talking with clients and talking with potential buyers or anyone associated with real estate, I never joked about I'm having this conversation on the beach, because I knew that would fall flat. I sometimes try to use humor to kind of break the ice or to keep things going, but I realized that no one really was going to find that funny that I got fortunate enough to be doing business in Florida when they were up here, and I didn't really understand what was happening in Nashville, right? It wasn't fair for me to make a joke about what everyone up here was dealing with. So I eliminated that. I just kept it straight. And then Brian Stoltzis, Millie Mundy, Hunter Moore, my little team, everyone was awesome and jumping in and helping out. And so I was able to, on the front end, make introductions to new clients or clients I've worked with in the past that were understanding and say, hey, I'm out of town, can't really get back, but I've got a plan in place. I'm going to connect you with Brian, or I'm going to connect you with Millie. And Brian and Millie and Hunter Moore, we have a project we're working on, and they were amazing in helping. And it's just, that's the village. I never expected less.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we feel like we want people to, we think sometimes naively or arrogantly or just, I think it's natural that people want us, right? But really what they want is, it sounds like from your experience, they really want to make sure that they're taken care of, right?
Yeah.
They want to be taken care of, and they've hired you, or they know that you're keeping an eye out on things, but ultimately they need access and they want to be taken care of. And so that doesn't mean that you have to be there to open every single door. I think we got to be careful not to become, the Uber drivers of the real estate world, right? Sometimes it's, hey, can we go see this listing? Oh yeah, sure, let me jump. And then we set it up, and then we go and we open the door and say, what do you think? And we're just kind of driving them around to houses as opposed to being proactive about the process and thinking through what the next steps are, and really helping to educate them on that. So
even here, it feels like we're learning to cope and deal with wearing the masks and social distancing and everything, now that I'm back, I still think there's an opportunity to, you're working with people that hopefully are going to be understanding and they're going through it, learn what they're comfortable with on the front end, and if they're just like, man, I'm cool with, let's go look at houses, then it goes to like, hopefully they're understanding what you're comfortable with, and then maybe you can find a happy medium. And it's like, hey, I'll unlock the house, you go in, but it's different. It's just going to be different until it's back to what it was. And
Right.
every person's threshold is different. And now I went through it, right? So now I have a slightly different take on what it really means. Do I now have antibodies? Now can I just go without a mask and all the things? I mean, I'm just kind of processing it all now, but I think we're just in an uncharted path. We've never gone through this. So hopefully the buyers and the clients understand that we're trying to give you the best service we can, but it's just different.
Yeah. So that is a good segue, and I want to hear in a minute. I want to hear more about your kind of the nitty gritty of what it was like to have the virus. But if you watched the Mindset Monday yesterday, I'm going to give a quick recap. But if not, take a view at that, take a look at that. How do you say that? Anyway, just watch it. But there were 5 tips from handling change, and I got these from a variety of sites. But the first one was talk about the problems, not the feelings, right? So I think we can sometimes just be overwhelmed by maybe not knowing what the next step is or not knowing what to do, and we can just kind of bemoan everything, right, ourselves and all the situation, and then you kind of become that Eeyore character, right? And so you can talk about the problems as facts, right? Well, here are the things that we're struggling with right now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to show your house because you don't want anybody in here except for certain days when you can have time to clean before and after. So that's the problem, right? You might be feeling like, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to sell this house because they're not letting me show it the way I used to be able to. But talk about the problems and its choices and consequences, right? And then number 2, focus on your values rather than your fears. So everybody has values inside of them that guides them, and then I think just taking it a step further to your clients, your value as a client, you're valuable whether you're in Florida or not, right? Because you know the process, you've done this hundreds and hundreds of times, and so you're there as a guide, right? Mm-hmm. So your value is as a guide, and yes, it can be scary, but again, sort of like number 1, you can be vulnerable, but you don't need to. They're putting their faith and trust in you, so have confidence in what you're doing, and show that confidence to them. Number 3, accept the past, but fight for the future, right? So accept that we're in a different time. It's not going anywhere. If you complain about it, it's not gonna make it any better. But look to the future. If you can take that mindset and have a mindset of abundance, then and really ultimately just be a player instead of a victim, then you can fight for the future. Number 4, you're pretty good at this, finding humor in a tough situation. So I've seen a lot of good. I don't have TikTok, but I guess it syncs to Instagram, and so I've watched a few of your TikToks. Didn't really know what TikTok was until then. But,
Neither did I. Thanks to coronavirus, I found it.
That's good. And then number 5, be grateful for this as a time to re-energize and focus, right? So we talk about gratitude a lot, but this is really a time where things are a little bit different. You've got some time to maybe it wasn't as relaxing as a typical vacation at the beach, but you do have some time to reflect and wake up a little earlier. Be grateful for this as a time where you can kind of reevaluate your business and look at things. It's a wonderful opportunity, and if you can do those things, I think you can come out of this thing stronger than ever. Mm-hmm. So a little bit more on that, a little more in-depth discussion in the video from yesterday. So all right, so tell me about this virus. What was it like?
Well, so I'll just kind of, I guess, go through the timeline. I got really sick on a Tuesday night. I knew it immediately. It was like a train hit me. Boom. Fever, chills, no appetite. Got tested the next morning. Went to Vanderbilt, who was amazing. Vanderbilt walk-in clinic. They ran my vitals and then took me into a separate room. They determined whether or not you are to be tested or not. You can't just walk in. I had symptoms, but I think if you just walk in and say, hey, I think I was near someone, they're not ready for that at the point when I got tested, but I was clearly sick. They took me in. The test was not great, but they've changed that. I got the long
needle.
it was like a foot long Q-tip that went up for 10 seconds. But now I think.
Oh gosh.
I know, I can still feel it. It didn't really hurt, it was just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But now they've got little tiny, they just do 2 nostrils for a quick swab, so it's not nearly as bad. So don't be afraid of the test, because I think they've done away with, I got the antiquated one. Like the next day I heard that they're like, no, mine was like super easy. I thought, of course, my luck is that I'd get the last long stick in America. And then I knew it. I mean, it was Tuesday, I was really sick, got completely separated from the family, tried to get away. Wednesday was awful. Thursday it started to come back feeling better, and it just slowly tapered off. And then right as it tapering off, like the chills, I had crazy bone pain, which was wild, like my thighs, my shins, and my wrists. Like
Really?
it was hard to even like it was, and I had like headaches, but it just felt like the flu. It wasn't, I had no respiratory issues at all. And then of course, I was starting to feel better. My wife and kids got tested. They were 3 days behind me. They all tested positive. So then I was nervous. My biggest fear was, I'm sick. Autumn, my wife, if she gets it worse than me, I'm not feeling great, but someone's got to be there for the kids and no one can come help. It was just this like anxiety. That's the worst part for me, was like the anxiety for about 48 hours of what were her symptoms going to be, what were the kids' symptoms going to be, and how are we going to parent and take care, or how was I going to be a great dad, and all that, you know. And
You're
then,
just a functional dad.
yeah, and I was kind of pushing it because she got knocked down pretty good. Like Autumn got it 3 days later than me, but similar flu. So then I had to step up. At this point, I just kind of felt hungover, which I'm used to. So I was like, I know how to get through that. I can go after, I can be a dad if I've had too much to drink. So it was just this ebbs and flow and balance, and then we all kind of, but the kids had no symptoms at all. I think the toughest part was that they're 7-year-old kids, it's summertime, all the neighbor kids are running around, and they just didn't understand.
So they didn't feel that bad?
They had 0 symptoms.
0.
That was even tougher because they're like, we're not sick. I said, you don't realize, but you have a virus inside of you that's very contagious. But yeah, you can do cartwheels and you can run around and ride your bikes, but you can't for 10 days, sorry. So that was it. It just felt cooped up. I mean, we didn't leave the house. We did one day, we all 4 got in the car and just drove for about an hour and then came home. Because it was just like we had to get out of the house.
Yeah.
But again,
but the fact that you all had it is almost maybe a relief, because it's like, at least I'm not going to spread it. You're not worried about spreading it to your kids. You were isolated for a minute and then.
right, and we have friends. I mean, prior to getting it, I didn't know anyone that had it. And then now it seems like in the last 21 days, 30 days or so, it's not so many degrees of separation. More and more people that we know or we're hearing have it, right? It's happening. It's kind of, but we do have friends that got it, and I know of people, the wife didn't get it, the daughter didn't get it in the same household. So but the doctors from Vanderbilt were very clear that they were like, look, if you had it and you guys have been spending time together in the house, it's just assume everyone's got it and just get through it together. And so that was a big relief, because I was isolated in a guest room up above the main house.
I think I saw a picture of you like hanging out or.
yeah. So I was a window on the side. The kids were down in the driveway, and I talked to them for 3 days out of a window, and they were in the driveway. But then we just shut it down once we all got positive results. But I'm not downplaying it at all, because everyone's different. The symptom, we obviously know that some people are having terrible symptoms, but I think we're pretty lucky all in all. But there was 3 days of just really bad flu-like symptoms, but we're still, I've got my mask, there was a little bit of the scarlet fever kind of vibe, because everyone knew I had it, and getting back in, I've been cleared and I'm back in, everyone's gonna joke and stuff, but I'm just being respectful of whatever people are comfortable with. But I am 100% been cleared, and maybe even safer than the next guy, because I have had it if there are antibodies, but that's a big question mark as well.
But so I was looking at some research, and I saw one study that said about 20% of the reinfection rate is about 20%, so which is like super high. Just, then it's sort of this self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think there are 7 village agents that I know of that have been confirmed as having it, and I'm sure that'll rise a little bit. Obviously, I think most if not all are through it. I think there might be one still outstanding, but yeah, it's one of those things that's got to make its course. But thank y'all for everybody's working hard, and obviously we don't have our masks on now, but we got them right here. Mine's right down there. So
On the floor.
on the floor,
Perfectly clean floor.
That's right. So I want to talk about this real quick. So I made a mistake yesterday, and it was one of those moments where obviously everybody makes mistakes, but I made a big mistake, and it was a process issue that I have, and I was part of a transition process. Part of a listing process where normally I will go through and we'll get a house measured. If they don't have a prior appraisal, I'll get a house professionally measured. And there was an old MLS sheet from a previous listing, and I think I had typed in like temporarily what the square footage was in there, and that had said professional measurement, right? So long story short, we've been in the market for a couple of months, and it hasn't. We got one offer that fell through, or one deal that fell through, but it's just been slow. And the identical property, like same exact floor plan, just looked a little bit less nice, came in the market 2 days ago and sold in a day. But I looked at it and I was like, why is it showing 300 square feet bigger? And then I had a panic and I called the agent. I'm like, where'd you get your square footage? Because here I am now thinking, that was part of my checklist, part of my process, right? I got a professional measurement, or she showed me the appraisal that she had, and I took care of that. And I realized that that the neighbor's square footage was correct, and I was basically
Overpriced.
Well, no, I had under square footage. I was advertising this thing as like 1,500 and change, and it really was like 1,800 square feet.
So you looked like you were way overpriced because you were.
We looked like we were way overpriced,
Right.
or just way undersized, and so I was like, where did the breakdown happen? It was one of those things where you panic and you're like, oh gosh, what do I do? How am I going to tell the seller? Because are they going to get mad at me? Are they going to fire me? Are they going to, And ultimately, I just decided, I always had a little motto as a kid: when in doubt, tell the truth. It usually works out better than trying to, not talk about something. So I just called the seller and I said, look, I screwed up. I made a mistake, and this should never have happened. I'm going to get it fixed, and we're going to figure it out. But I feel really bad. But the fact of the matter is that we probably should have sold your house by now if it wasn't for this mistake. But anyway, I just wanted to be open and honest, how it happened. And she was like, "You've done an awesome job. Don't sweat it. These things happen. I'm glad we got it figured out now. And here's to moving forward." So it was one of those things. Kind of the anxiety of the situation was almost more than the actual situation. So just wanted to share that again, we got a lot going on, and sometimes the change in our rhythm can kind of throw a wrench into things, and it did for me. And of course, I didn't even realize it had happened.
Well, it kind of goes back to your Monday motivation, the one that says don't focus on the mistakes, but focus on like a solution, whatever that statement was. Because there's a positive silver lining is like, look, this other one sold day one, so theoretically we could maybe refresh it, change the square footage, and it should go quick.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you can cut your losses. Like, look, if I, that you mentioned it, but there is a way to spin that to a positive. Like, okay, we tested the market the wrong square footage, but wait till we get it right. This thing's going to go quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's that was a helpful little lesson. Made me feel better to just own it. And not that I wasn't going to own it, but I think there was just that question of like, gosh, how do you handle this? So just a good reminder there. All right, coming soons. I'm going to send this out in probably an hour or so. So if you haven't entered any coming soons, go to comingsoon.villagetn.com and enter those. And that's about it. What? Anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for having me. It's good to be back in the office.
Hunter Connolly, sorry, buddy, you're out of a job. Shane's pretty good at this. So next week, I think our plan is to have a sales meeting next week as well. So next week, I guess, is the last the last Tuesday of the month, which sometimes we don't, but we'll just stay tuned. We'll double check on that. And again, enter your coming soon. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a good week.
Bye.
See ya.
Good job, team.
That was fun.
Sounded good from the audience.